we're going to open up the chat now to all of you. And we're going to ask you to ask your questions to Imam Warithudeen Mohammed II. Keeping in mind, we want to be respectful and to just ask the questions so that we can get, so that we can get the Imam. Yes.
I'm the lecturer.
We want to get the Imam to answer as many questions as possible. So with that, I'd like to start with, there any sisters that would like to ask a question? Any sisters? Can you? Yeah. Can you come on to the middle?
Yeah, back there.
Oh, we got a long board. That's good. That's good.
I got it.
And I don't mind speaking up. I might answer the question.
Yeah, we might be walking up and down the aisle.
Assalamu alaikum. You have you touched on it, and my question is how we can go back to our various communities and instill in them the importance of supporting the mosque cares. You know, like going back in history when your grandfather was having Savior's Day, you know, it was the whole community pulled together and they wanted to, you know, they wanted to make that successful.
Yes.
And with the convention as well. But now we have people who say they follow your father, but they don't support the mosque cares. And that's my question.
Yeah. I can go back to the social nature of the human being. I'm going to try to do this real quick. We're first and foremost social creatures. Imam Muhammad taught on this. A lot of you all can bear witness. The social nature of the human beings to follow the popular, you know, the Bible says, in the Quran, people like cattle, you know. So there's a climate in America now to try to come away from the rigid climate which America had in its social communities where the church was real strict, the family, the mother was real strict, and then slavery was extremely violent, and so some of that violence was passed on to the social life of children. You know, men, you know, they ain't had no problem raising their hand to their wife. That's completely a no-no these days. You spend some jail time, you put your hand on your wife, whether your children are present or not. And you don't hit your children, go to jail. The children can pick up the phone and call the police on you today. But there was a time where that was acceptable, you know, that people would whip their kids in public. And just in my lifetime, when I was young, I used to see people getting their butt beat, and I used to see that a lot of Caucasians wouldn't whip their kids, and their kids were just horrible. So it made me appreciate my whoopings. So I was like, did you hear what that little boy, not this high, calling his mother all everything but the child of God. He's just bad. And I used to see that often. But then later, society said, hey, these children are more expressive, they're creative, they go further in school, they're more successful in business. So they said, you know what? Violence may be an oppressive tool. Finally, they realized that violence is oppressive. You know, and then they say that all we need to do is just work harder and quit whining and complaining, okay? So the oppression from violence. So what I believe we need to do is find a happy medium. You got to be firm. You got to be strong. Right. They want you to give up on your young people. I let my children know that I don't want to even, I ask Allah to take my life if I think that you children not going to follow and love this community the way I love it, or at least try and identify with what I seen my parents, my grandparents, my community, everybody that I love. I come from a group of people that love me and I love them back. And they sacrificed their entire lives. They've devoted and given their lives to their children and the children's children, and told their friends that you little bad boys out here, y'all gonna pay for this. There's a God that's watching you. So we have to preach morality to our children. Now, don't put your hands on them, but you know, hey, whatever won't get you thrown in jail, I say it might be fair game, as long as it's not illegal. You could fake at them. You know? I've done that before. Raise my hand, you better not. But we shouldn't accept just outright blatant disrespect for good moral issues. You know, you want them to follow in your footsteps, then you have to establish good, strong morality and love for community, you know.
This side, anybody on this side?
No.
Yes, it's good.
You may not be able to reach it.
You got a little bit.
I got a little bit.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
There are a lot of people here who sacrificed, and we sent our children to Claire Muhammad School. We've got principals here at this conference this year who have been involved in the school system for 30 years. But there's something lacking in our community now in terms of parents sending their children now to Claire Muhammad School. What can we do to revive the sacrifice that people used to make to send their children to Claire Muhammad
Yeah,
School?
what I believe, that's an effect of the climate that I just mentioned. That climate, once the thing is a universal thing, that's an issue with the world today. It's not just America, it's not just the West, it's spreading all over the world. I can almost guarantee you that it's a freedom movement, but it's at the expense of community. And I don't think it's no accident. I think it's the plan of the devil. The Shaitan sees that we want to keep these people down. These were once a mighty and beautiful people. Could you imagine how we were for 500 years in Spain, the Muslims, the Moors? Could you imagine that? We don't see it, and we'll never see it because they kept that information from us. But we can read some books and imagine and what the Africans were like with the great kings of Africa and the high-level societies. And they say most of us were part of building the great societies where they had, just like have big cities like this, with buildings underground and skyscrapers and storage. Egypt was more than just them pyramids. And some black Africans played a major role in those high-level societies. But one beautiful thing that I see is that the world is now starting to look back and attempting to repent. The people that are in power, and they're uncovering these people's history. But there's so much that's lost that they can never do true justice. So the way to change that and the reverse that people not supporting is that we have to become a community the same way that we became a community in the Nation of Islam. Now back then we were very poor and we had to rely on each other. So the social nature was at an advantage to those that wanted to be a part of a social community. But today the social nature is far, far away from it. Far, far away from it. Everything is digital, computer. My wife, no way in heck she can make as much money as she make, and she spend more time at the house than I do. She work from home. But that's better for her, for the corporation that she works for, to be at home because they done discovered she's more productive at home. And she'll work longer and harder and get more work done. You know, because I'm like, where's your lunch break? You know, what's, that kind of stuff. So it's not conducive to community.
We want to get as many questions as possible.
Yeah,
so-
that cannot be answered until we become a community. Like the Arabs got the community where they own the buildings down the street, they own the car lot down the street, they own the masjid, the school, they buying more land. The neighborhood, they the biggest donors to the fire department, the police department. They practically, that's it. We got to ownership means you got to own stuff, everything. I almost said something else. Y'all know, you feel me, don't you? Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. At the urging of your father over the years, he always wanted us to branch out and get to know all kinds of people. There was a speech he made in 1977. He said, if you follow me, you're crazy. But he went on to explain that we need to go out and get to know people. What is your opinion of how we as Muslims, not just African American Muslims, can find something to bridge this gap between us? And I don't mean just, I know we have a lot, but there's other things. Because right now, this month of August, 2019, I'm seeing more fitna and division in the Muslim community than I've ever seen.
You just answered your own question you just answered your own question with the beginning of the question. The answer is to get out and get to know people. Be sincere, care about what's going on with your neighbor, care about what's going on with your brother. Get to know him. If you don't like him, you don't have to tell him if you try to help him. And Allah say the least of the charity, if you can't change the situation with your hand, with your heart, then try to change it, then just at least be against it in your heart, and Allah will show you someday, or He'll send you help. But that's the answer. Okay. We need to be more active in our communities and more active in our neighbors. They run you away, just say, okay, I'm gonna make a goal. I know these people don't like me. I'm not like them. I'm not gonna change. They're probably not gonna like me because I'm never gonna be like them. But then think of, well, what can I do to put them on the impression to shut their mouth. Because what they do, the backbiting and the lying and the slander, they can make you something that you're not. You know, when you backbite, it's like they say eating the flesh of your dead brother or something, but you extort the image. Allah says it's an ugly, ugly thing. So now the good-natured person that I am, people can't see me because you've lied about who we are. They did that to our whole community. They did to black people, and now they're doing it to Muslims. And number one, now you got 2 strikes. You black and you're Muslim. Mm-hmm. So you do an act of charity. It's kind of like what the Christians say. I ain't asking you to love your enemy, but show them that you're a good person, and then at least you know in your conscience and your mind that they know I'm a good person. If they want to see that good person again, now you got to do something. I made my move, you make a move. It's war. It's war. But it's a war for good. You know? So sometimes I help people, I clean up, I get the broom, I sweep in front of their house and my house. And I won't do it while they looking. I want them to wonder, it's been clean out here. And it's always clean out here. Why is it so clean? And then somebody tap me on the shoulder, you know you live next to a Muslim.
The time is 5:45, and since we're moderating, we have to first ask you, can we continue for the next 15 minutes, and then we'll end this session? Can we?
I'm not sure what's next, but I can stay here as long as y'all want to stay here.
I'm just saying, but it's, can we extend it? You know, we want to get your, so that we can get more questions answered. So we want to try to get as many questions as possible. So I'm going to turn it back over to the
Oh, we got time. So if y'all get tired, let us know. We got time.
Okay.
I like my son.
I have a 2-part question.
Yes, ma'am.
The first part is, do you ever see this convention combining with the Detroit convention? The
That was a
second,
Detroit convention. I'll be busy. Tasha, is it happening at the same time as our convention?
at this
Oh,
exact
why?
same
Going on
time.
All I want to know is why.
Why?
All I want to know is why. That's like if I have a birthday party and I invite my family and my son, my oldest son, or even my wife called me and said, you know what? We having a birthday party, another birthday party for you over here. I want to know why.
Lack of support for the
The
Muslims.
second part of the question is, years back, there was a Quran given to our community from the Mufti of Turkey. Okay, years back, there was a very old Quran, one of the oldest Qurans in the world, was given to your father as a gift from the Mufti of Turkey. How do we keep and store that Quran? And
Now, you locate it, and I'll try to find it. And if it exists, then I think that's a great, honorable, and gracious gift to give. If it was something that in value to them, but the Turkish people, they're very diplomatic, and they give gifts, and they give good, nice gifts. They have an ancient history. These people have a beautiful culture, beautiful history. And they have a love for the dawah and the development of the Islam in the African American community that started, was established with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and continued with Imam Muhammad. So my father had great relationships with many Turkish people, but the Turkish government, the power recently because of war and all, there are different people in power. So we can't really say who are our friends or who we close to. But one, the USCMO is the Muslim organization that I worked 10 years. Y'all didn't know that while y'all was, doing your thing, not inviting me to peaceful gatherings, we Shura Bainahum kept moving. We joined a group. We actually established a group. I'm a founding member. We started with 11 of us, of the largest Muslim organizations, multi-chapter, who have chapters all around the country of Muslim organizations and their leadership. So we're a group of leaders. We're a council. We're a council, U.S. Council of Muslim Organizations, and we have bylaws and everything. And it took us many years, but we have it established. So so we were working with. This is the Muslim world now. This is all American Muslim leaders. But now we're working with the Muslim world. So we had close communication with groups that were dealing with conflict and issues of poverty and famine and things like that. And so we had many times had them as guests, and we had the opportunity, and that's the connection. That's how Imam Alfred made the connection. I think it was something going on simultaneously where I wasn't able to attend the meeting with the president of Turkey. And we had already met with their finance,
the prime minister. Yeah.
the prime minister. We met with him. I met with him with our Secretary General of USCMO in Chicago. And their photographs, you can visit them. You'd be surprised at those photographs that you see on the Mosque's website that we didn't spend any idle time for the past 10 plus years that since Imam Muhammad has passed, because he paved the way for us to make these connections. He had close connections, and I didn't pioneer anything. When I walk into these high-level groups where I should have been sweating, trying to figure out how I'm going to impress them, these people met me with open arms.
That's right.
Because they loved my daddy.
That's right.
I'll put it that way to let y'all know my position. I walk in there as the son of Imam Warithudeen Mohammed, but they loved yours and my leader like he was their brother. And some of them, I saw more genuine love and respect than I see from some of y'all. I ain't gonna say a lot of y'all, but some of y'all that smile and speak his name, but that's because we've been damaged.
Right.
We've been damaged. We don't know how to love, some of us. We think we do, but real love comes from progress and establishment. And I'm sorry for preaching again.
But
That's all right.
one question.
Can I answer?
I didn't. Are you saying that?
Oh, the turkey.
You don't know where that.
I'm letting you know I didn't inherit nothing but Burton. No, I'm joking. I don't have it.
Family don't know where the.
He don't know. He don't
You
know.
can check my pockets. I don't have
He don't know it.
But I agree. Imam Muhammad had treasure troves. When I grew up as a boy, we moved from the big national house to a little bitty house. We moved to what I consider a mega mosque where Farrakhan is right now with the big crescent and moon on top of it, to a little middle class family house. So we had rooms with plaques that from the floor, from the wall to wall to the ceiling of awards and keys. I used to play with keys to the city because there was big keys.
The Imam
Lots
said-
of them, boxes of them.
The Imam said, W.D. Muhammad, he said, the house that Minister Farrakhan, he said that was a museum.
Yeah.
He said it was a museum, he had to get out of there. So,
And you know why? Because he had accumulated so many items like yours. They need a museum. But where they are today, y'all gonna have to gather them and collect them. Because
I want to answer the question about the convention in Detroit. You said why? In 2008, when the Imam gave this convention,
the convention.
right? He said that that the convention would be in Detroit until his janazah, and they missed that part. And they are saying that the Imam said the convention should be in Detroit, but if you listen to that CD, it said until his janazah.
Now we on the East Coast, right?
Yes.
I'm from Chicago. I'm not saying Imam is naive or any people in Detroit is naive. But when I hear that kind of talk, I know what that talk is.
Yeah.
That's just slick talk.
That's right.
They know better than
That's
that.
right.
They know better than that. How you gonna come calling shots? Imam didn't appoint you as an authority over the what's gonna happen when he passed.
he didn't leave.
That-
He left Imam Warithudeen Mohammed.
That's slick talk.
My opening statement answers the question when I said that he left Imam Warithudeen Mohammed II in charge of Mosques. If you follow in W.D. Muhammad, then you follow Mosques and the leadership coming from that as an institution and not as an individual. He's not following an individual, he's following an institution.
That's right.
Okay, we're going to follow it. We're going to follow Mosques.
Oh yeah.
I just have questions, so
I just want to make a comment. You got to make this comment. I think we as a people embarrass ourselves in the international world because people in the international world look toward legacy.
Yes, sir.
And when they see, and I've represented the Mosqueers, Imam Warithudeen, they don't say the Mosqueers, they see us as a government.
Yes, sir.
I had the Secretary General of a very prestigious organization, worldwide organization, to tell me. He said, I know who you are. He said, the reason I know because you all always dress nicely. You know, everybody else had to pay to get in. Now, I will tell you one organization that you probably do know about, but it's one of the biggest and most important non-governmental organizations. That is the Council of Foreign Affairs. Imam Warithudeen Mohammed was invited. They didn't invite nobody from Detroit. They don't want to meet anybody from Detroit.
What about the religion of peace?
That's what I'm saying, World Conference of Religion and Peace. These people are not invited. They want somebody to head a body.
Yes, sir.
And Imam Muhammad, continuing the work of his father, they see us as an independent people, headed by a leader, not by some jack, you know, but by a leader. And I'm gonna repeat this again. A chicken that is born in an oven is not a biscuit. An imam that is born not in jail, that we got someone want to come out of jail and want to run leaders. But Imam Muhammad, I know this to be a fact. Now most of you, how do anybody in this room know? I know Imam Warithudeen Mohammed. I say this, and I know what he told me about Imam Warithudeen Mohammed, and it's public record what he told about Robin. And I bring this to your attention because you need to know this. Imam Muhammad told, some of them passed out later, but just a group of us, small group of us. I served on the council, Imam. He said, you know what? There's some smart pants people in there. He said, if I had not been your leader, I was going to be the leader in America. I already incorporated the organization, the Society of American Muslims. He said, I put it before my son. He said, I didn't push it, but I kept it before him. Son, we're going to build a mosque in Chicago. And I'm bad witness, brother, I have finished this. This is vital stuff. This is how people get all the mistakes. See, in the past with Imam Warithudeen Mohammed I the bad leaders denied me an opportunity to talk about him, and the family was able to get hegemony over you. I know. I'm not talking from no guesswork. And I'm not going to let that happen with Imam Warithudeen Mohammed II. So I'm telling you facts, what his daddy told me, and some others. But I know he told me, and I wasn't in there by myself. He said, I put before his mind. He did. And I asked Imam Warithudeen, I said, you remember when your daddy said that? He said, yeah. He said, I thought so much so that I started drawing pictures. I wanted to be an architect because I thought we were going to physically build a mosque in Chicago.
I see it in my mind's eye like it was yesterday. I was a little boy.
Remember, this is a fire chat, so, you know, we want to keep it that way. Keep it moving.
Something that I've been pushing for a couple of years. And I think you have one. You can take another one.
Yeah, I think you gave me one, but while I'm up here, I'll get it out.
We'll give it to him.
Yes. This is the thing for our, this is an opportunity for our community to take leadership of our people, African American people. This thing there is saying, well, what are the most dynamic, the most significant things Allah did for our people since we've been in this country? This 400th birthday is 1619, right?
Yeah,
this is what we're doing, right?
That's right.
So if we say August was when we were brought here, what month would symbolize our liberation? It would, well, you say February 25th, I think we're gonna go for that. But they cannot argue with April the 12th.
Okay.
Why is April 12th so significant?
That's when the first slaves landed here, right?
No.
I mean, it was August. When was it?
August 20, 1619.
What's your question?
August 20, 1619.
August 20,
That's what that whole 1619 series is about.
Slavery ended because of the Civil War.
Yeah, the Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah.
Civil War started when? April.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we trying to get questions because this is an opportunity. I might not be back here for another year.
That war.
All right, there's a question. I want to get the question.
Yes.
Can you step
Questions?
to the mic, please?
Come on.
Can you step to the mic?
Come on up.
Keep the question.
Assalamu alaikum.
You speak well in the mic.
Beg your pardon?
You're speaking well in the mic.
Yes, I just want to say this. My brother here that had the question, with your all permission, I want to share something with you that your father said. Some of those